halfway there, almost to Friday, just 2 more days to go. Come on in. We got so much to talk about. We didn't go live yesterday, so we have some stories today that we definitely want to catch up on. Welcome to Aries Rose TV, where you get pop culture personality with Aries energy on every review. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Aries Rose, and tonight we're going to be talking about some stories that have been trending, that have definitely caught my attention, so we're going to discuss it here. We're going to be talking about a Shannon Sharpe update. As you guys know, he has been sued recently for $50 million. If you're not familiar with the lawsuit, you can check out previous lives. I'll link them in the description box so you can get all caught up. We're also going to be talking about Bishop T.D. Jakes. He is stepping down. I want to say maybe at the beginning of this year or towards the end of last year, had a medical scare, had a medical situation. I believe he had a heart attack. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk about Misa Hylton-Brim. She is suing Mary J Blige. And then we have Jaguar Wright, who is being sued by Brian McKnight. So we got to talk about that. Let's see what's going on with that, why he's suing her. And then we also got to talk about a brawl, a fight that took place at the Cowboy Carter concert that recently kicked off for the Cowboy Carter tour that Beyonce is on. So we got lots to get caught up on. If you have been here before, you know the drill. If you're an Aries Crew member, leave hashtag Aries Crew in the comments. If you are a first-time watcher, leave first-time watcher in the comments. I want to give you a shout out for stopping by. And we're going to get into our first story tonight. So we are going to be talking about Uncle Shay Shay first, Shannon Sharpe. So he has been in the news recently and trending, and it's not for an interview that's gone viral. It is for his personal life. So for a man that has fiercely guarded and been very strategic about his image, how he carries himself and the things that he does, this is one of those times where that just did not seem that it took place in all of the judgment calls that he was making in this situation. So, a quick little overview. He's being sued for $50 million by a Jane Doe that Shannon Sharpe has outed on either who he believes is Jane Doe or who he knows to be Jane Doe. So, he said her name. And he's also put out where you can find her online on OnlyFans. I'm not going to share her name on here until she comes out publicly and wants to be acknowledged or say her name. I'm just going to use the Jane Doe that was used in the filing. And so, in responding back to this lawsuit that was filed, Shannon ended up releasing some text messages that have been exchanged between the two. And it was mainly text messages that was sent by this Jane Doe to, I'm sure, maybe try to paint her as a questionable person or as to paint their relationship as being 100% consensual. Now, she does say that they did have a consensual relationship for a couple of years, but there were interactions that took place that were not consensual that he's being sued for. And one of the things he brought up in his video statement that he made, trying to refute the allegations that came up in the lawsuit, is that there's a tape that he believed was going to be released, and that was going to be of some adult activity. If you follow what I'm saying, we're on YouTube, so we got to censor. And he said that he believed a 30-second clip of that was going to be released. And then he said to Tony, hey, it should be about 10 minutes or so. Why don't you release the whole tape? Well, Tony Busby has responded back on whether or not that tape is going to be released. And before we go into that, let's do some comments that we got coming in. Brian Blank, thank you for being here. We got Prince Ford. Hello, how are you? And we got Billy Gray on here. And why do you think it's a stupid lawsuit? I'm very curious to hear what your opinion is about that. And then we got Razzie. How you doing? Thank you so much for being on. Hope you are having a good week so far. Let me know how you guys are doing down here in the comments. But for Billy Gray, if you are on here, I definitely want to know why you think it is a stupid lawsuit. And if you are just joining the live, please hit that like button. It goes a long way and it's a free way to support the channel. Share this live out with family and friends. Greatly appreciate your support. And let's see. Debo, thank you for being on here. All right. And now we're going to check out what Tony Busby has said regarding this tape that Shannon Sharpe has referenced in his video statement about the allegations that were filed in the lawsuit. So this is according to reporting from TMZ. The lawyer representing the woman accusing Shannon Sharpe of rape will not be releasing the video that allegedly depicts the two engaging in adult activity, calling it, quote, key evidence, end quote, in their case against the former NFL star. Let's see, we're taking a quick pause here. We got Billy Gray saying, everybody just suing celebrities for money. We should know by now it's a hustle. I don't know. I don't know if it's a hustle or not. What I do know that has been clearly established is that this person was known to Shannon Sharpe, so it's not a random person. What I do know is that he's admitted that they had a relationship, and Jane Doe has admitted that they had a relationship, so it's not a completely random circumstance. I don't know what happened between the two, but we'll see if it gets played out in a court of law, which so far it's sounding like it will, where that is going to lie as far as the judgment goes on that. I'm just kind of standing back and looking at the information as it's presented. So we're going to jump back into the story here. And this is from TMZ reporting, quote, the only reason you know about the evidence of a video recording is that Mr. Sharpe specifically referenced it in his BS statement, end quote, Busby said. Quote, the contents of the video was shared during the mediation process with Sharpe's attorneys. Again, Sharpe and his team disclosed that, not us. Sharpe himself was offered on more than one occasion to view it himself. He declined. We've never made any claims or threats about it and won't do so, end quote. And he added, quote, and no, we won't be releasing the video as it's key evidence in the case and will be treated as such. So it looks like there will be no adult activity tape released of Shannon Sharpe, at least regarding this particular lawsuit here. They are declining to do that and have that play out in the court of public law. It looks like that's just going to be used in the courtroom as evidence based on Tony Busby's response. Let's keep going in the story. Sharpe first made reference to the video on April 22nd, 2 days after the Doe filed her suit. He stated in an Instagram post, it's a 30-second clip of a adult tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. He then contended the video should actually be about 10 minutes or so before he employed Busby to put it out to the public in its entire unedited state. Doe is suing Sharpe for $50 million, alleging he raped her on more than one occasion toward the end of their nearly 2-year-long relationship. Sharpe and his legal team have been adamant the Pro Football Hall of Famer committed no wrongdoings, and they repeatedly called her suit a shakedown attempt. And as of right now, Sharpe has stepped away from his gig at ESPN while vowing to battle the, quote, false and disruptive allegations set against me. So we're going to do a quick pause here for some comments. Mondarius, thank you so much for being on here. Billy Gray is back in the house saying it was role play. Maybe it was. I know that those texts on her side, that was some crazy talk. That I don't know what the nature of their relationship was, but it was definitely wild from the messages that she was sending to him. My concern, and it's definitely something that just can't be unknown, is if that is the same Jane Doe that he has stated that it is, that filed this lawsuit. That was quite an age gap between them. He was in his early, 53, 54, and she was allegedly 19 when he met her. So maybe it was role play. I don't know what he's into. I don't know what you like. I don't know what the nature of their relationship was. But that age dynamic is definitely concerning. So it doesn't look good. And she did have some messages on there stating, I asked you not to do something without wearing protection and you still did it anyway. And he did offer to settle with her for about $10 million. And I don't know if she knew about this alleged podcast deal that was going to be worth $100 million or not, but they didn't want to take the $10 million. So I just question, why are you settling if there may be nothing there? And I'm also curious if it in fact is true that Tony Busby did give him the ability to watch the tape. Why didn't you watch it if you don't believe that anything bad was done? So we'll see. We'll see what it comes out with. We're definitely following this story, and it looks like it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So let's talk a little bit about the statement that Shannon had put out about leaving ESPN. So he said he's temporarily stepping away from ESPN, and he worked on First Take, and he was doing the show with Stephen A. Smith. So he said he was stepping away so he could focus on these disruptive so he can focus on these disruptive and false allegations and spend time with his family. And so I was going with that explanation, although I believe that ESPN told him that he needed to step away. And so they just allowed him to make it look like it was his choice. But I personally don't think he had a choice, because that's just the way it works at that level. At that point, they're going to give you the courtesy to kind of save face in public and say, you can say you're stepping away, but I question if that was a personal choice or a choice he had to make. And I personally think, in my opinion, it was a choice he had to make. And some other bloggers and YouTubers have been doing some research and some kind of things that they have that kind of back up my thought of maybe that was not by choice that he's stepping away from ESPN temporarily. Is that he used to have some sponsors that he would talk about, or you could see their logo on the Nightcap show that he does with Chad Ochocinco. And one of those sponsors was Boost Mobile. And it looks like Boost Mobile is no longer mentioned, or you don't see their logo in the Nightcap videos. So they may be some sponsors that, at least right now, are not working with Shannon Sharpe right now. And also the let's say it was the NFL draft, or I'm sorry, Draft Kings. Draft Kings was another one, that another sponsor that would be mentioned on the show, and it looks like they're not talked about. So there may be some other sponsors that have stepped away. But the reason partially why I question if it was a choice to leave ESPN or not, because if you're going to be stepping away to focus on this lawsuit and these false allegations, he's still working every night on Nightcap. So he's still going live. He's still doing the show with Chad Ochocinco. He is still doing Club Shay Shay. So if you are taking time away to be with your family and focus on these allegations, why are you still working on everything that you own? See, he doesn't own ESPN. He works for people on ESPN. So if it don't work for them, he's not going to be able to continue working whether he wants to or not. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. That's kind of the way the tea leaves are reading to me, but curious to get your opinion. We're gonna take a little pause here. Billy Gray. So you said he should be charged with rape for messing with 19-year-olds and teach them a lesson. We'll see what ends up coming out to be the case. I know in the court of public opinion, for whatever that's worth, that age difference is looking a little off. And I can tell you, I don't know what a 50-something-year-old would have in common with a 19-year-old, other than something that may be of the physical nature, because you guys didn't grow up the same way. You're not going to be speaking the same language. So you can't really tell me you're vibing on that kind of stuff together. So it's not a good look. Very sad. I hope it's not false allegations, because that's a terrible thing to go and say somebody did if that's not true. And, wishing him and his family the best. We'll see what comes out from this. And as these stories roll out, we'll be bringing them here to you on Aries Rose TV. So make sure, if you have not already done so, that you subscribe, join that Aries crew. It's free, and we'd love to have you a part of the team. All you got to do is hit that subscription button and then hit that notification bell so you can find out every time I go live, post videos, and post on the community page. And let's keep it moving. We got some more stories we want to talk about tonight. So we are going to go into one that just completely caught me off guard. Brian McKnight is suing Jaguar Wright. So Brian McKnight is an R&B singer. He was pretty big in the 90s, maybe even the early 2000s, but definitely in the 90s. He's got a beautiful voice. Love a good chunk of his music that he's done. Definitely that grown and sexy vibe was what Brian McKnight was given when he was on fire in the 90s, putting out some of the best love songs. Definitely one of the kings of R&B for sure. But as time has passed and more has been known about his personal life, Brian's had some troubles with his children, with his older children that he's had. I want to say it was with two different women. He's got two sons and a daughter, and I believe the sons have a different mother than the daughter. And he is estranged from those children, so he doesn't really have much interaction with his older children and kind of seems to be dismissive of them, even if he acknowledges them at all. And he has since been remarried, I want to say maybe for 5+ years now, and he has a child he shares with his new wife, and he renamed himself to match the name of his baby that he had with his new wife, because he said that that was really his legacy, even though he has an older child that's named after him. So, Brian's been doing some questionable things as far as it goes in the family realm, but he is coming at Jaguar Wright with a lawsuit for allegations that she has made about him. So let's get into that. It looks like lawsuits are just flying around everywhere, and we're going to keep track of all of them as we can. So let's see what's going on here. This is reporting from TMZ. So I tell you, my mouth dropped when I saw Brian McKnight was suing Jaguar Wright. So I know one of the things that I always hear is, if Jaguar is not telling the truth, why has she never been sued? And it looks like Brian McKnight heard that and said, I'm gonna go ahead and drop one. So let's see what they're talking about. Brian McKnight says Jaguar Wright is talking crazy when she claims he abused his ex-wife and some ladies of the night, we'll call him. So he's suing her for defamation over it. The singer just filed a suit against Jaguar for a bunch of things she's saying about him online, which he says are blatant lies. According to the lawsuit obtained by TMZ, Brian claims Jaguar went on social media and alleged Brian McKnight was hiring ladies of the night and physically abusing them during actual encounters. He says that never happened. What's more, Brian claims Jaguar also alleged he was an abusive husband to his ex-wife, Julie McKnight, who Jaguar claims is her cousin. Brian says he never abused his ex-wife and had no idea about her alleged relation to Jaguar. This is crazy. You met Brian once, Billy? He is got a really beautiful voice. I mean, he has just got such a nice tone to it. His songs were perfectly fit for the 90s. Definitely the Quiet Storm era, if you know about that in radio. He had those Quiet Storm songs that you play in the nighttime, or you play when you want to make up with somebody, or you play when you're in love with somebody. So it's just always surprising to me when I hear anything associated to him that is just not loving or being respectful, because his just music gave off a completely different vibe than he sounds like as a person. But I don't know if there's any truth to these Jaguar Wright allegations, but I know I've seen a lot of interviews that she's done, and I've definitely heard her say that before. So, and I haven't heard that recently, so it's been a while since I heard that. I want to say maybe last year or the year before that. So I don't know if he just found out or if it just takes this long to go through, but let's keep it going and let's see. What's more, Brian claims Jaguar also alleged he was an abusive. Oh, hold on. And it's worth noting Jaguar has also made allegations against Jay-Z and Beyonce going on the Piers Morgan show, which I did watch. I clicked on that show with the quickness when I heard Jaguar Wright was going to be on Piers Morgan. I was like, well, she's got to have some truth to what she's saying, because there's no way Piers Morgan would have her on the show. But it looks like he ended up having to apologize when she had came on one time and had talked about some allegations against, making some claims against Jay-Z and Beyonce. And said she went on the show, on the Piers Morgan show, claiming the Carters had more victims than Diddy. Piers ended up apologizing, and I saw that too. He did end up apologizing for airing this interview with Jaguar after getting a threat from Jay-Z and Beyonce's legal team. Brian claims Jaguar knew she was lying about him, but proceeded to smear his name. Online anyway, and he's going after her for damages. So I don't know what's going to come from this. I don't know if Jaguar Wright has any money or if there's anything that he is going to get from this, but we are definitely going to be following this story. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have you heard any of the Jaguar Wright interviews where she has made this comment about Brian McKnight? And let me know what your favorite Brian McKnight song is. If you listen to his music, you're familiar with him. What is your favorite Brian McKnight song? Let me know in the comments. And now we're going to roll over to our third lawsuit. I tell you, it's raining lawsuits over here. And this one has been filed by Misa Hylton-Brim. So if you're not familiar with her by her name, she used to be with Diddy. They used to be a couple and they share a child together, Justin Dior Combs, and she is a very renowned stylist. She was responsible for a lot of the infamous looks for I know female, I'm not sure she also did male, but I know she definitely dressed a lot of the female artists that were on Bad Boy. And at that time when Bad Boy was big in the late 90s, oh, I mean, their fashion was everything. So she was on the cutting edge at that time of like what was hot in hip hop and urban world. So she's definitely respected in that fashion stylist world. And she was working with Mary J. Blige during that time as well. Because as you know, Mary J. Blige worked with Diddy back in the Uptown Records days in the very, very beginning of his career when he was an intern with Andre Harrell. So Mary J. Blige has known Diddy for a very long time. So because she's known Diddy and worked with him in the music world, she naturally knew Misa. So Misa has also styled and been friends with Mary J. Blige. It's got to be going on maybe 30 plus years, if not more, that they've known each other. So I was shocked when I saw that there was a lawsuit going on between them. So let's get into this and see what they're talking about. And this is reporting that I'm getting off of Bossip.com. Mary J. Blige is facing a $5 million lawsuit over claims she purposely derailed rapper Vado's career after signing him to her label. Let me know if you know who Vado is in the comments. What's a song this rapper has done? And then we got some more. So the Not Gonna Cry singer is up against a $5 million lawsuit in New York from her longtime friend stylist Misa Hilton and her talent agency Misa Management. Their complaint is in response to claims that the Grammy Award-winning singer sabotaged their business relationship with rapper Vado. So that's kind of crazy. Now they're friends, but she's saying that their business relationship was sabotaged by her with the rapper. So let's see a little bit more on that. So give me a moment. I'm gonna take a quick drink of water. All right. In the suit, according to All Hip Hop, Mary J. Blige is accused of withholding Vado's completed album in an effort to pressure him to cutting ties with Hilton. Hilton and Vado both accused the R&B singer and her company, Beautiful Life Productions, of interfering with a signed management agreement between Vado and Misa, which entitled the agency to 20% of the rapper's earnings. Always comes down to money. I hate that longtime friendships, end up breaking up over money. I'm hoping they can resolve this. Let's see what else. According to court docs obtained by AHH, Blige allegedly persuaded Vado to break his management deal during private yacht gatherings, hotel meetings, and exclusive events where MISA representatives were intentionally left out. Hilton, who was responsible for some of Mary J. Blige's most iconic looks since the early 90s, claimed the singer used her influence to isolate Vado and steer him away from the contract. Oh, that's too bad. That is too bad. All right, we're going to keep it going. Let's take a pause for the comments here. Billy Gray says that's just music business. There's a million stories of that. Yes, there are lots of stories in the music business about lawsuits, relationships going bad, artists getting signed, not liking the deal, or having issues with management, or not being paid properly. There are lots of stories like this in the music business, but it's still sad when friends, I mean, they have been friends for a long time. Like I say, you got to be looking at least 30 years to have that breakup over money. That's the sad part. The music business part is probably always going to be messy, a little bit nasty anytime money is involved in there, but it's the friendship part that is sad that may not, be all intact or something that can be saved when you go this route of suing, or you're believing that they were conspiring to mess around with your contracts you had in place. And let's continue this. The lawsuit goes on to claim that Blige's security chief, who's described as her boyfriend, wanted to sign Votto himself. He allegedly tried to persuade Votto to sign a new contract without legal representation and warned the rapper he would lose out on opportunities if he stayed with Misa. Yeah, see, that's not sounding good. Doesn't mean they did it, but that doesn't sound good. It sounds like they were trying to, actively get him to step away from there, saying, you'd be better off with us. And that's not cool. It sounds like it's kind of poaching on somebody else's talent. So when you're friends, you kind of got to respect those lines with each other, but I'll leave that to a court of law to decide who's right and who's wrong in this situation. So we're going to keep on reading. And while Votto completed an album in July 2024, the suit alleges Blige shelved the project and blocked touring opportunities to try and persuade him to sever his ties with Hilton's agency. All Hip Hop reports that according to the complaint, Blige allegedly stated in private messages that she would not release Votto's album or allow him to tour, quote, as long as he stayed with Misa, end quote. The suit says Blige's actions left Votto in economic servitude, making him unable to earn income or repay advances tied to his recording deal. Yep. So the plaintiffs are seeking $5 million in damages for breach of contract, emotional distress, and interference with business relationships. The lawsuit also requests an injunction to prevent any further disruption from Mary J Blige. So that again was reporting from Bossup.com. We're going to be keeping an eye out on this lawsuit. So as updates are available, we will definitely come on and let you know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Mary J was trying to take the talent away from Misa, or was it just a misunderstanding? Let's keep that conversation going. And next, we are going to get into Beyonce has kicked off her Cowboy Carter tour. Let me know, did you go to the Renaissance tour in the comments? Let me know if anybody's part of the Beehive or Beyonce fan. Did you go to the Renaissance tour? And did you or are you going to go to the Cowboy Carter tour? Let me know in the comments here. And so it looks like that Cowboy Carter tour just recently kicked off, and there was a fight that took place at the concert. So we're going to talk about that. So first off, before we get into that, Beyonce had her daughters, Rumi and Blue Ivy, there. And the people are saying Blue Ivy came and danced her little heart out. They're saying she has improved in her dancing skills since the Renaissance tour when she first made her debut with her mom. And, I think part of it is she is still young as a performer. You can't be expecting her to be exactly like her mom, Beyonce, or exactly like her father, Jay-Z. She's just starting out, so she doesn't have the whole years and all the time that they spent in training and all of that. She was just born to them. She didn't necessarily come out with the same seasoned talent and everything that they have. They had to work towards that too. Everybody's got to start somewhere. So I think she was just starting out, just getting her legs. And now she's out there. They say she is out there killing it, dancing her heart out. So congratulations to you, Blue Ivy. I hope you are having fun out there. Shout out to Beyonce for being that mom that's going to put her children on. I'm so for that. If you are in a position where you can help your kids, by all means, you should do that. And she is definitely doing that by having them involved in the show. So shout out to them. And when you say Billy says, yes, she tore up that stage, that's what they say. And I'm so happy to hear it. I'm happy to hear it. Sounds like she's having fun. They can all, be able to be together on the tour, especially when the kids are a part of it. So shout out to Beyonce for incorporating her family in there. And let's talk about what happened at this fight at the Cowboy Carter concert. So this is reporting from TMZ. Beyonce's first Cowboy Carter concert turned into a WWE event. After her performance ended, a bunch of her fans started brawling in the VIP lounge. Now, I've not been to a Beyonce concert because the Beyonce tickets are beyond what I can pay. But I do enjoy me some Beyonce music. But I do know you got to pay to be in the VIP. Oh. Okay, leave a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Leave a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Looks like the other mic went out. All right. Leave a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. So I'm going to read this over again just because I'm not sure where the video may have cut out, but we're going to talk about a fight that took place. Thank you so much, Billy. I appreciate that. Talk about a fight that took place at the Beyonce concert. So it says Beyonce's first Cowboy Carter concert turned into a WWE event. After her performance ended, a bunch of her fans started brawling in the VIP lounge. Now, I don't know if y'all caught this before, but I'm going to say it again. I love me some Beyonce. I like some Beyonce music. I've liked her since Destiny's Child, and I think, she's just gotten better over time, but I can't afford no Beyonce tickets because Beyonce tickets they're not cheap. They are very expensive, so I just like to enjoy her music where I can. I just have my own concert at home. But I do know if you do go out to these concerts, you're paying big money. So the fact that a fight broke out in the VIP lounge is kind of crazy to me because I'm sure you had to pay a pretty penny to be in there. So let's see what caused this fight. Let's see if we can find out. You got to see the video. We're not going to be showing the video on here, but you can check that out on TMZ. As Beyonce fans are making their way to the exits at SoFi Stadium, a group of women get into a huge fight. The bodies started flying and hitting the deck. That is a crazy description. It all seems like this started with an argument, and things get really heated when one woman knocks a cowboy hat off another woman's head, and leading to a bunch of pushing, shoving, and falling and cowboy boot kicking. Beyonce performed the first of 5 shows at the SoFi in Inglewood, California, and her fighting fans were decked out in cowboy attire. Oh, that happens out here on the West Coast. That's crazy. The performance was about 3 hours long. Okay, so I mean, at least they're giving you a good amount of time because I hear them tickets are pretty pricey. So 3 hours is a decent show time. Okay. And so at least these folks waited until the end to start the fight. That is for sure, because I would have been mad if you started fighting after I paid all that money for a concert and I couldn't enjoy it. But that's crazy. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. They were probably mad they had to stand at that $800 ticket concert. Probably them tickets are not cheap. That is crazy to me. I've heard Ticketmaster does something called dynamic pricing where like they see that there's a huge spike or demand, they start increasing the prices. And to me, that's just crazy. The concerts have become so unaffordable. I remember when they used to, a regular person can go. Now you got to save up like you're going to Disneyland to afford some of these concerts. It's crazy. And then we're going to get into our last story for tonight. We're going to talk about Bishop T.D. Jakes. So he is stepping down. He had some health issues. I want to say it was earlier this year or maybe towards the end of last year. I believe he had a heart attack. It happened while he was preaching, and then it was being live streamed. So you saw the incident. He was talking, started getting slower, sat down, and was sweating. And then it just kind of passed out on the stage, and it turned out he had a heart attack. So they stopped the live stream, and he got medical help at that time, and it turned out he had a heart attack. And looks like he's stepping away from the church. So let's talk about it. And real quick, if you're on the live, let me know if you're a returning Aries Crew member by saying hashtag Aries Crew in the comments, or let me know if you're a first-time watcher. Leave first-time watcher in the comments. And if you can like the video, greatly appreciate that. It goes a long way with the algorithm. It means a lot. Free way to support the channel. Right, so this reporting from TMZ. Pastor T.D. Jakes, why he's stepping down from church, heart attack plays a role. Pastor T.D. Jakes suffering a heart attack during a November sermon was one of his dominoes that led him to taking a reduced role at his megachurch. Hey, sometimes you got to take a step back, and maybe that was him getting a message that you need to pull back a little bit, and that's okay too. And we got reps for TMZ, reps for Jake tell TMZ the heart attack, emergency surgery, and ensuing recovery are some of the reasons he's taken a step back from his role as pastor of the Potter's House of Dallas. We're told Jake spent a lot of time recovering from the heart issue, and it's affecting him to some degree. That's understandable. As we reported, Jake's announced Sunday he was naming his daughter and her husband as his successors, handing over reins to them at the Potter's House and selecting them as the next pastors. Jake's camp says health is the only reason. Oh, excuse me. Jake's camp says health is not the only reason he's stepping back, though. He said he wants to address some major economic issues. We're told other dominoes that led to his departure happened in 2022 when Jake's daughter and son-in-law moved from Los Angeles to Dallas to get more involved at the mega church and the historic farewell of the annual Woman Thou Art Loosed conference, and continuing the global Women Evolve movement led by Jake's daughter. Jake's also installed his daughter and her husband as assistant pastors of the Potter House in 2023, giving them valuable leadership responsibilities before ultimately handing them the keys. Moving forward, Jake's is launching a new podcast called My Next Chapter, where he will discuss the shifts happening in our world and our lives and how we together can rebuild what's been broken, especially during this time of national uncertainty. Let me know if you are going to be checking for the TD Bishop Jakes podcast, if you're going to be listening for that or following that. I hope he's doing okay and that his health, he stays in good health. It's scary to have a heart attack at any age, so I understand if, you need to take a step back, reevaluate things you're doing and how you're spending your time, because you truly never know how long you have. So all you can do is make the best of it while you are here. And that's going to conclude our show for tonight. I thank you so much for hopping on and joining. We will be live again tomorrow night. So make sure you have your notifications on. And if you haven't already done so, we'd love for you to subscribe and become a part of the Aries crew. We have fun over here. Can y'all believe tomorrow is going to be May? Tomorrow is going to be May. That's crazy. This year is flying by. We're almost halfway done, but we're here for it. So let's start off May on a high note. Make sure you're here tomorrow night for our next live. Thank you for watching and have a great rest of your night. Take care.